an indictment against Aiden Fucci for first-degree murder involving our victim, Tristyn Bailey. Once the grand jury had done the indictment, we did a transfer order, which I believe some of the folks in the media had already gotten a hold of, transferring the case from juvenile court to adult court. The indictment is the triggering document which signals and executes the move into the adult court system. So Aiden Fucci will be tried as an adult in St. Johns County for first-degree murder. Now, Aiden was initially charged with second-degree murder. The indictment is for first-degree premeditated murder. Now, some folks have asked us why, or wanted to know why we would charge premeditated murder, and also why we would choose to seek adult sanctions on Aiden, who is a 14-year-old boy. Well, we're going to talk about both of those together to give you an idea of why the decision was made to charge him as an adult, and why we believe first-degree premeditated murder is the appropriate charge. I think both of those intertwine and will explain why we did what we did. First off, I want to tell you, it brings me no pleasure to be charging a 14-year-old as an adult with first-degree murder. But I can tell you also that the executive team and I reviewed all the facts, all the circumstances, the applicable law, and it was not a difficult decision to make that he should be charged as an adult. It's a sad decision and a sad state of affairs, but it was clear to us after we looked at what happened that it was not only appropriate to charge the defendant as an adult, but it was really the only choice that we could make. Now, you've heard that our victim, Tristyn, was stabbed. And I believe Sheriff Hardwick, who I'd like to say wishes he could be here today. Unfortunately, he couldn't be. But we'll have Director Skip Cole will speak for the Sheriff's Office. But to say that it was horrific could arguably be made as an understatement. The medical examiner completed an autopsy on our victim and identified confidently that there were 114 stab wounds. 114. At least 49 of those stab wounds were to the hands, arms, and the head, and were defensive in nature. The bottom line is that premeditation could be inferred, certainly, from just the sheer number of stab wounds that Tristyn Bailey had to suffer. Every time that arm went back and every time that arm went down, that was premeditation. And it happened, if you times 114 by 2, that's 228. But it's not just the fact that she was stabbed 14 times, or 114 times. It's also information that we were able to glean from witnesses. The defendant made statements to several people that he intended to kill someone. He didn't say who that was, but he indicated to witnesses that he was going to kill someone by taking them in the woods and stabbing them, which are certainly the facts of this case. The defendant had a knife that he carried with him. A knife was found in the pond, very close in proximity to our victim's body. That knife had a tip that was broken off. That tip was located by the medical examiner in the scalp of our victim. The statements that the defendant made to his friends made it clear that he was considering a homicide. And I got to tell you this, it's disturbing and concerning that those statements were not, let's say, adequately or appropriately, or not taken seriously by the folks that heard them. I'm not saying that this could have been avoided, but I'm saying that it was never reported beforehand. Now, as we move forward in this case, and we continue to develop the case, we will continue to develop more evidence. Not only do we have the knife, which was identified by witnesses as they say it's his knife. It's consistent, as the medical examiner says, with the wounds that were found on Tristyn's body. And it's also the description and the hilt and the wounds themselves match up per the medical examiner. Not only that, we also have DNA evidence that we have developed regarding this case. There is the defendant's DNA on the body of the victim. And there is the victim's DNA on the knife blade, on shoes that belonged to the defendant that were found in his bedroom, on a T-shirt that was found in the defendant's bedroom. And there's additional items that we are looking at now that have been sent to the FDLE lab for confirmation of blood and DNA analysis. I just want to say that I hope parents will learn something from this vicious and brutal murder. And that is that you need to know what your kids are doing and what they're saying. Because while we might not be able to stop these brutal and vicious murders from happening, we ought to at least try. And sometimes parents might be reluctant to dig into what their kids are doing. For those of you who have kids, you know that when you start wondering and asking and investigating what they're doing, you have a battle on your hands. But it's a battle worth fighting. So I hope that parents will realize that teenagers are capable of things we have never imagined they could be. And this case is an example of that.